So I have the great pleasure today of introducing a mega star who is not a Khan. He's not only not a Khan, he's not just had 100 crore film this year, he's had two. So I'm talking of none other than Vivek Oberoi. What's even more fantastic about his achievement this year is that there are two films from completely different genres. We have him playing the comedian in Grand Masti, and we have him playing a villain in Krish, and both of those roles have got him critical acclaim, and the films have done phenomenally well. So without any delay, may I please ask Vivek to join me on stage. 2013. Okay, so 200 crore films this year. Wow. What happened? Changed your name, got a new letter added, some change in numbers. What happened?
Let me start by saying Kuble.
Okay, so now we know. We know why he has the 200 crore film. He knows how to make an instant connect.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think it's been a fabulous year. It's been a golden year for me. It started with my my TV show, India's Best Dramebaz. I did a television debut, and that became really successful. And then Grand Masti, which had all the critics running after me to strangle me, but did phenomenal numbers at the box office. And then Krish as Carl, which did both numbers at the box office and got a lot of critical appreciation and acclaim, and more importantly, all the kids. You know, they just there was this fascination with children, which was so exciting and so nice to see. So it's been a great year, and I think most importantly, most beautiful part of this year is that I became a dad this year. I have a thank you. Yeah. For me, that was the most incredible transformation. I mean, it was just instant.
Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy. His name is Vivek Oberoi. Vivek Veer basically means warrior of light, one who dispels the darkness. So.
Obviously dispelled the darkness with your film career and given you 200 crore films. So he's a very lucky for you, that means.
Well, I guess, you know, people ask me that. They say that, you know, do you think your son's lucky for you? And I say, I don't know about that, but I do know that when I see him, I feel like I'm the luckiest man in the world. I just feel that.
Big round of applause for that.
Yeah, and I've been pretty good. I've been getting a lot of brownie points at home for all those guys who are looking to have babies and stuff. I've been doing all the nappy changes. I've been making the dudu bottles, doing midnight feeds. So I've been doing it all, and it's nice. I mean, it's in a different kind of bonding with your child. You know, when you tell your wife in the middle of the night, no, it's okay, I got this, and you go up there and you pick him out of the cradle, and he's just looking at you with these big eyes. It's the most amazing feeling in the world. It's that you and him in that one universe that you have, just the two of you alone. It's pretty incredible.
You know that you have.
Man, he's the happiest granddad on earth, because I have a younger sister, and my sister and my wife both expected their babies at the same time, and we have two grandkids in the house. So he's a nana and a dada at the same time.
Oh, wow.
So he literally has like one on this side of his lap, one on that side of his lap, and he feels like a king after that. So yeah, he's tripping out. He's doing...
I think you had most of the women here swooning when you said, you know, you tell your wife to go back to sleep and you'll do the bottles and the nappies. How does that fit in with your role at Grand Masti? Because that's diagrammatically opposite. All you're doing is running away from your wife, right?
Absolutely. And for good reason. I think, yeah. Grand Masti is inspired, it's based on a true story. The writers of the film, Milab Zaveri and Tushar Hiranandani. So actually, there was so much pain in their lives, and as you've seen, if you've seen the film, you know the incidents that they went through, that we had to actually take that and divide it among 3 characters, because it was too much for 2. So it's a biopic. People don't really know about it, that it's a biopic.
So you're not like that at all. You don't necessarily agree with those characters or, you know, the values that they propagate in the film.
No, I don't. In personal life, I don't believe in cheating, whether it's, you know, cheating on your wife or cheating with your friends or in business or cheating with yourself. I think that's something that we keep forgetting, you know, that cheating also does happen when you cheat with yourself. You cheat yourself of your dreams. You cheat yourself of your meaning, your purpose. You cheat yourself at times. You get carried away with distractions. Distractions don't necessarily mean, you know, philandering outside of your marriage. It could also mean, you know, when you started out. Like when I started my career, I started with a certain vision in my head that, okay, this is what I want to do. And then at times I realized I was cheating myself. You know, I was deviating from the plan. I was deviating from the hungry actor who set out to go out there and do his stuff. So I think that you have to course correct from times. You know, you have to tell yourself, no, this is not where I want to go. You have to find a balance and then ground yourself back and course correct.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because you started in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, your first film, you were a sort of anti-hero.
That's right.
Really. And it was a huge hit, and it kind of started the whole genre of underground films, and there have been so many since then. But I still remember that as an iconic film. So what did you have in your head? As you said, you had a vision in your head of what kind of films you wanted to make. What was that you had in your head, or was it a happy accident?
You know, I think what I miss, what I'm trying to get back into my life now, today it's an effort. Back then, 10 years ago, it just came naturally to me, is something that you generally have, you're blessed with when you're young, when you're in your teens, when you're in your early 20s, you have that fearlessness. I think we tend to grow into fear as we grow older. The more we achieve, the more we're worried about what we might lose. That fearlessness used to be my compass in life. You know, just to do what I believed in, without knowing anything in terms of fear, without knowing any fear. I think when I started out, and not many people know this, there are very successful directors, Abbas Mustan. If you've seen the race films, they'd just done a film called Soldier at that time. It was a huge hit, and I'd just come back from New York after doing my master's in film. I was studying in New York, and my dad was going to do the typical launch. You know, the thing is that second generation, star son, time to launch him, beta वापस आ गया है विदेश से, अब इसे launch किया जाए. अच्छे गाने होंगे, अच्छे designer कपड़े होंगे, अच्छे, you know, sequences होंगे. मेरा बेटा fight भी कर सकता है, मेरा बेटा dance भी कर सकता है, मेरा बेटा ये भी कर सकता है. So the typical launch pad was being designed for me. But I was very, very uncomfortable with that. You know, I had something inside me telling me, no, this is not my path. This is not my way. You know, this is, you know, piggybacking on my dad. And with no offense to anybody who has, I just felt it wasn't my way. And I remember that conversation with him. And he was stumped. I said, you know, when you came, you had nobody. You made it on your own. I remember my dad borrowed 400 rupees from his best friend and came to Mumbai with a dream. 400 rupees and a dream. And he made it. So I said, if I have it in me, if I have the talent, I should be able to do it. I should be able to make it. And if I can't believe in myself, then why should I get somebody else to believe in me? And he said, look, it's a big deal. You're going to walk away from an Abbas Mustan setup. I said, yes. And what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to struggle. I'm going to go out there with my portfolio in hand.
So you chose to struggle.
And I'm going to meet producers and directors and say, hey, I'm an actor, and I'm not going to use my last name. And I didn't. And it took me a year and a half of going to producers' offices, waiting outside their offices for 7 hours, and then being called in for 7 minutes and being told, when they don't even look at me, they just flip through the portfolio and say, हाँ ठीक है, but तुम में वो बात नहीं है, तुम actor नहीं बन सकते, you can't be a hero. एक काम करो, तुम assistant cameraman बन जाओ, तुम्हें मैं नौकरी दे देता हूँ. So I used to have these people giving me these, advice that was never asked for. And you always have people, who tell you not to believe in yourself, not to pursue your dreams. Be realistic, don't dream big. And the more they would do that, the more I would get more resolved. I would go back home saying, no, I'm going to make it. I'm going to go and do this. I'm going to achieve it on my own. And then one fine day I found out that Mr. Ram Gopal Verma, who was one of my favorite directors, is casting. And he's doing a film called Company. And there's this character called Chandu Nagre, or Chandrakant Nagre, that he's casting for. And somehow, हाथ जोड़ के इधर-उधर लोगों से request करते हुए, I landed up at his office. And I met him and I said, sir, I'd like to audition for you. I'd like to do a film like this. I'd like to, this role. I'd like to know more about it. And I think that I could do this. And he told me, you look too polished. Too
chocolate hero,
polished boy. You can't do this. This guy's from the underbelly of Mumbai. This guy is raw. This guy is, rough around the edges. He's all of that. And I was like, sir, just give me one chance, one opportunity. So he gave me a 2-minute brief on the character. And he said, I'll see you one more time, 15 days from now. And what I did then, and this is when I mean fearless, I left my house. I went and took a kholi, it's called in Mumbai. You have the slums in Mumbai, you have these little hutments. So I went and rented out a kholi. And I actually stayed in the kholi. And I had a little camera where I used to just take pictures of everything and keep plastering it on, wherever I got placed in that kholi to plaster it. And I lived there for 2 weeks. And I actually had, the old journalist recorders that you used to have?
Dictaphone.
Dictaphones, right. I used to have one of those, and I used to record how people speak, their dialects, the language, what did they communicate with each other like, what are the language they use. And I kept recording that. And 2 weeks later, I had my opportunity. Mr. Verma was back. I made the call, sir, can I come and see you? And he was like, yeah, 3 o'clock, be at my office. So I was out there at 3 o'clock, but I said, he has to see me as the character. So I dressed as the character. So I dressed as Chandu Nagre, in those clothes, the scruffy beard, beady in the mouth, and I reached his office, and I looked at myself in those, the tinted glasses on the doors, and I said, man, I'm looking too clean. So I remember there was a flower pot outside his office, and I dug my fingers into the flower pot and pulled out some earth, some matti, and I started just rubbing it all over my palms and putting it a little in my hair and my face, and just like dirtied myself up, a little more scruffy. And I remember the watchman just staring at me like, this guy is diseased, man. I mean, something's totally wrong with him. I walked in, puffing my beedi, and I had collected a bunch of pictures. A friend of mine was a struggling photographer, so I told him, come and take pictures of me as a day in the life of Chandrakant Nagre. Like, how would this character be in that environment, in those slums? He was talking about the underbelly. I had a point to prove. So I went, I was standing outside his door, I could just hear my heart beat, pop, 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 pop. It was like an opportunity I was waiting for. And you could see dreams and, the fear of failure and all of that. I just shunned it all away and said, I'm going to do this. And I remember just kicking the door open, swaggering in with this bunch of photographs in my hand, beady in my mouth, puffing at it, walked straight up to him, yanked the chair, sat on the chair, put my feet up on his table like that. And I remember this guy, Chandan Arora, who was the editor of Company and now the editor of Krish, he was sitting next to him, and he was stumped. He actually thought some gangsters come in, and those were the days where gangsters and the movie industry was. So he thought some gangsters come in, and he was like pretty worried. And then I looked at him and I said, I told Ramuji, I said, "To bada kya dikhta hai? Photo dekh, photo dekh." And I threw the I threw the photos down there, and he started, going through that, and he kept looking at the pictures, then he's looking at me. Looking at the pictures, then he's looking at me. And I kept puffing, looking at him, right, dead stare in the eye, the killer stare, daring him, It was just in my character. I was in my zone. And it was amazing, because after that, Chandan left, and then Ramuji got up and he said, follow me. And he walked up to his Land Cruiser that was parked outside his office. He said, get in the car. And I got in, looking around, still totally like in my Chandu Nagre mode. And then he looked at me and says, you can throw the BD now and get out of character, please. And it was instant. It was like, yes, sir. So it was like back to puppy again. And then he was like, that is the most incredible audition I've ever seen in my life. He says, you're doing my film. At that point, Kali, I told him that, sir, actually I should tell you that, now that you've signed me and you're telling me that I'm doing a film, I'm Mr. Suresh Oberoi's son. I came up in conversation and he's like, oh, you're Sureshji's son. And he said, come on, let's go to your house. I'm going to tell your father myself. So he came up. My dad literally didn't know what was going on. Came downstairs, Ram Gopal Verma sitting in our living room and says, your son is doing my film. And he was like, when did that happen? How did that happen? And he said, I have to give you a signing amount. And he looked at my dad. He said, Sureshji, can you give me 10 rupees from your wallet? And he pulled out 10 rupees and he gave me 10 rupees. I still have that 10 rupee note. And he signed me with 10 rupees for company. And that's how it happened. Being fearless.
Hello? Yeah. I'm going to break that story down. But before we do that, who from the audience wants to see Chandu back? Do we want Vivek in character? Okay. Your call. Does anyone have a BD?
Ooh, that's a tough one because now I'm an anti-tobacco ambassador.
Oh. The table is here. Go ahead. Put your feet up.
Okay. I really have to use my imagination unless it's this table. I remember there was this dialogue in company that became really, really popular. Malik, तू और तेरी ये कंपनी खलास.
It still comes back quite easily to you.
Well, actually, it wasn't real at all. That was just like fake. If that was a shot in a film that I was supposed to do, I'd be slapping myself.
So what's amazing about the story that Vivek told us was that what landed him the first role was persistence, craziness, innovation, because he actually thought of going and living in a Kholi, doing the photographs, coming in with the BD and doing all that. And then just following the whole thing through.
Fearlessness. Fearlessness. Be fearless. Most times we don't pursue things. Our instinct tells us, do this, and we're like, nah, how can I do this? And I shouldn't, and maybe I should. And you start doubting yourself. Just be fearless.
But did it become harder for you to be fearless because you had such a big hit? Because then you had an image and, you were this big star now. And then was it harder for you to break out of that for your second film?
I think that's, this is something that I tell all young, talented people that I meet. I had a phenomenal year. I had company, I had Satya, I had hit after hit. I was signing all these big movies and a lot of adulation. But the thing I've learned in my life, and my career in 10 years has been the wildest roller coaster ride you could ever think of.
Yes,
it's just been like that and like that and like that and like that. It's been one of those, you see those machines that have the heartbeat graph in the hospital, so it's like that, ting, ting, ting. So it's been like that. So I've had hit and then flops and then hit and then flops and then disastrous flops. And so I've seen, the ups and the downs. I've seen the highs and the lows. And the one thing I've taken from that, one thing I've learned from that is, in Hindi, you say it, बुरे वक्त में घबराना नहीं, अच्छे वक्त में पगलाना नहीं. Never take success to your head and never take failure to your heart. I think you have to realize that success isn't permanent and failure isn't fatal. You have to find the balance between the two. I think where it goes wrong is when you take success to your head or failure to your heart. And I've done both. I'll be honest up with you and tell you, I've done both. I've taken failure to my heart also, stopped believing in myself. I've taken success to my head also and started losing it. So I think both things are important. Balance is important.
How do you come back to this balance each time? Like, let's say in your high success time, you're, going crazy and you're doing all the pagalpanti, like you said, and in the low, it's fatal, you've gone into a sort of depression. How do you get out of it each time and come to this balanced path, this wise Vivek that we see?
Well, the politically right thing to say right now is I give credit to my wife. She grounds me. So many brownie points you can't even imagine. Seriously, I think, I was 24 when all of that madness happened, right? It just, boom, exploded. What I tell myself today is, feet on the ground, eyes to the stars. I think that's the best way to live. You have to dream, you have to aspire, you have to say, I want to be up there. You have to have your eyes to the stars. But don't forget the feet on the ground. I think for me, what I realized is that in our industry, in Bollywood, you can prepare to be an actor, but you cannot prepare to be a star. Nothing can prepare you to be a star. You just have to have a support system. You have to have friends who will not be, not chadao you, not be chamchas, be real. You don't want psychophants around you. You want people who'll ground you, who'll tell you the truth at all times, and listen to them. That's your support system, always, in any success, not just Bollywood. I feel that, for me, it was a journey of finding who I really am back again. And constantly, it's like you fly away, you flutter somewhere, and then you have to just pull the ropes back in, and you have to say, okay, this is who I am. Ground yourself and get back to the center. This is me. And then you start again. Because the minute you come back to who you are, everything goes back to its original self. Your ideas, your visions, your beliefs, your relationships, all of that just comes back. It just naturally comes back because that's the real you, So I think that's what it's all about.
You're born a star kid, but you're not really a star kid. You've always kind of been as an outsider in Bollywood. Do you like the outsider role?
I think it's something I chose very early. I was 17 and I remember a conversation with a friend of mine who was also a star kid. And epiphany.
What is that?
So I had a friend who was a star kid. And I remember a conversation to me, when I say that certain things define who you are. So I think that for me, this is one of them. I had a conversation with this friend of mine. We were 17, and he said, when I'm 18 and I get a driver's license, my dad's going to buy me a sports car. And I had a long pause, and I looked at him and I said, when I grow up and I can afford it, I'm going to buy my dad a sports car.
Ooh, brownie points from dad also. What is this? Brownie points from wife, brownie points from dad?
No, I'm talking about the mindset. I'm talking about the perspective. The idea was, I want to do this myself. I want to go out there. I remember I wanted to learn how to dance. So I ventured into Bollywood dancing. And I went to this dance master. And it was ridiculous because everything I do, say, "Arey, kya kar rahe aap? Wah, 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 kya baat hai? Superb. Matlab, aapne to sabko piche chhod diya. Wah, 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 wah." And I was like, this is dumb. I'm going to learn nothing out of this. It's going to be ridiculous. He's just, chadhaing me continuously. And then I realized if I really want to learn, I have to find an ingenious way in which somebody's paying me to learn to dance. Now, how does that happen? So I went, without telling anybody, of course, background or whose son I was or anything. I went as a regular guy saying that I'm a dancer, I really want to learn and I want to work. And I went to Farah Khan, of all people. She used to be a choreographer then, not the director that we know her as. And my first job in Bollywood was with Farah Khan. Wow. And you know what my first job was? My first job was, those aluminum kettles? Those ketli, they call it, the chai ki ketli. I used to carry that ketli and 6 cutting glasses of chai. And I used to pour the chai in the ketli and I used to go and distribute the chai to all the dancers. That was my first job. That was my first job and like sweep the rehearsal hall after everybody's done, switch off the lights, lock it, give the keys to the owner and go home. For the first month, that's all I did. And then I started learning. And then I started growing. And then I started appreciating it. And I saw a whole different perspective to stars. You know, stars would come to rehearse for shows, and I used to watch them and their focus and dedication. And it was a whole incredible journey for me. You know, it was a year and a half or 2 years that I worked for Farah.
Wow, what does she say now?
We have the biggest laugh about it now. Of course, I actually surprised her one day. She had a television show where she'd asked me to come on as a guest, and I walked in with a chai ki ketli and some cutting glasses. I cannot tell you how much she laughed. It was a lot of fun.
So you've always been the outsider. It comes across to most of us who are on the outside generally that Bollywood is very cliquey and it's quite closed and it has its own way of doing things, and if you're part of Bollywood, you don't break that code. You know, and if you break that code, you're basically vilified. And it's happened on multiple occasions with many people who've tried to do that. You know, what would you say about that? Is it very close? Is it a very
Oh,
close
I say I'm the
society?
poster boy for that. Yeah, I do believe that there are camps, and like you said, it's very cliquey. Everybody has their own, you know, camp and all of that. But you have to decide what you subscribe to. You know, is this your way? Is this what you want? And are you willing to pay any price for it? Are you willing to forget who you really are? Then even after that, if you have all the success in the world, is it really success? And if it is really success, is it really yours? Because if you are not who you are, then how is the success yours? You know, it's a little philosophical.
You're really a philosopher.
Well, a lot of failure can teach you a lot of philosophy.
So alternative career for sure, you can write the self-help books.
Yeah. I think I'm graduating from needing them to being able to write them. But yeah, Bollywood is pretty cliquey. But one thing I've realized is, if you have the talent, if you believe in yourself, the opportunity will come. You know, you have to just believe that. You have to believe the opportunity will come, and the right opportunity will come for you. You have to have the power of saying no. Because if you don't know how to say no, then you never know who you really are.
So what gave you this strength? You're quite a strong person inside. You really believe in yourself, and this is right from the start, from your first film. So is it your upbringing? Is it your parents? Is it something that happened in school? Is there one particular incident or something you can go back to which says, this is me? You know, most people who are here are young people. You don't really know at 22 or, 21, who are you? You have the luxury of finding out, How do you come to that place where, okay, this is me. I identify myself as this. Can you tell them something that would help them do that?
I think I attribute my growth to failure, to pain. There's two kinds of pain. One pain that can hurt you and one pain that can change you. I think somewhere the choice is yours. What pain do you want it to be? For me, it started really early. I had all this success, and then I went through a little patch of failure, and it was difficult for me to accept it, because from being loved universally and being a blue-eyed boy, you're vilified, you're, excluded from everything. So I was dealing with that. And I remember going to my mom, and my mom is a big inspiration. She's my hero, right? She's been somebody who's worked for 30-odd years for palliative care patients who are terminally ill. And she does that with incredible grace and dignity and love. So I remember having a conversation with my mom. I was sitting with her and I was like, I am in pain. I don't know what to do with this pain. I'm upset. Why is this happening to me? I don't deserve this. I'm a good human being. All those conversations was happening with my mom. And then she said, come spend a day with me. And she took me to Tata Memorial Cancer Hospital. And she said, I want you to spend today thinking about these kids who are dealing with cancer and brighten the day for them. Do something that's going to make them smile. The minute I started seeing them, their pain, my pain became minuscule in comparison. And I saw these kids who are dealing with cancer and yet smiling. Smiling because I came to see them. Smiling because I gave them flowers or toys or chocolates or cakes. So they were taking joy in the little things and were being grateful. And for me, that was a slap in the face. It was a rude awakening. It was like, you know, I'm taking myself way too seriously. I'm taking my life way too seriously. Look at what people are dealing with. And that kind of started a journey which went from one stage to another. I mean, after that, I went in instinctively when the tsunami happened. I said, I want to go there. I want to go there and do something. Nobody knew what. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had no idea. I remember I called a very popular journalist friend of mine, and I asked her, I said, is it really as bad? And she said, it's worse. And I came back from, it was this season. It was Christmas, New Year's. It was this season.
It was.
I came back from a party. I switched on telly just before going to bed, and I saw all these visuals, and I couldn't sleep. And I got up the next day, took a flight to Chennai, didn't know what I was going to do. Fans came to meet me. I said, can you organize groups of students, of young people like you who were, you know, attending this conference? And they all got together, and they said, okay, what can we do? So I said, let's collect medicines, let's collect clothes, let's collect provisions. And before we knew it, in 24 hours, we had 14 truckloads of stuff.
This is before social media. I mean, that was a real network you created. It was before social media.
Calling people and saying, come on, let's do this. And it was great. And then I truly felt at that moment like a star. I felt like, wow, this is so awesome when you can leverage your popularity. When you can leverage your popularity for something that actually makes a difference to people and their lives. And not just like, oh, I'm so popular today, I got rated as number 3 on the top 10 list. It actually made a big difference for me. You know, so that was super cool. And I remember driving to Devanampatnam in Cuddalore district. And I remember getting there, and then reality hit me. You know, nothing prepares you for it. When you see devastation like that, and when you decide, okay, I'm going to do this, when you commit to it, and you actually walk into that village, and you see people who are dead, you see bodies that haven't been retrieved, you see the reality of death and life, it just shakes every single fundamental pillar in your life. It just shakes you up. So it takes time for you to kind of absorb all of that and say, okay, I'm going to rise above this, and I'm going to do something. But when you're with people, when you're with youngsters, like-minded people, with the exuberance of youth, with people who are saying, let's make a change, let's make a difference, it kind of just pushes you on. It kind of just, you know, takes you over with that enthusiasm. And we started small. We started purely as relief distribution. And something happened. The day I was leaving, this bunch of little kids came to meet me and they started crying. They said, don't leave. And I just found it difficult to leave. And I had this moment where I was sitting by the ocean at Cuddalore. And I said, okay, I'm going to pitch a tent, and I'm going to live here, and I'm going to resettle this village. I'm going to rebuild this village. And it was just that. It was one moment of thinking, madness, that told me I'm going to do it. I didn't know how. I didn't have the funds. I didn't know the know-how. I've never run an organization before. How am I going to build 652 homes, and how am I going to build, you know, a primary hospital, an orphanage? How am I going to do all these things? And it just started to happen on its own. I asked the questions and the answers came. And today the reality is 652 family homes, an orphanage, a primary healthcare center for the people, a whole new life. And it happened just because in that one moment I decided I'm going to take that first step.
Do you think that you would ever go into politics? Because we have the CM here, and he mentioned about how important it is that politicians make right decisions, and you seem to be making the right decisions from your heart.
I think firstly, let me just say that I've had the good fortune to spend a little time with Dr. Sangma. I think he's a rock star CM. You guys are lucky. I mean, not only is he a CM who knows what he's doing and is so progressive and so personal in his approach, he also sings and dances, which I found out yesterday, because we went to some children's homes, and we went to the Sisters of Mercy charity, and it was an amazing experience to see him, you know, wearing both hats and you know, being the person, talking to the kids, talking to the elderly, at the same time with his entire team and an entourage that was behind him. He was saying, okay, are these kids getting XYZ benefit from that policy? Are these old people getting this medical cover? And both things were happening simultaneously, and I was very impressed. So if I was to ever be a politician in my life, I'd like to be somebody like him.
But we heard, and this is not from our media, this is competitive media, so it's not as reliable as our own, that you might be playing Narendra Modi.
Well, I've been offered a film. I've been offered a film, but nothing's confirmed yet. And while the idea of doing a biopic excites me as an actor, I'm in a zone where I'm post this phenomenal success that I've been blessed with. I'm really thinking about what I want to do and what steps I want to put out there in terms of what projects I want to do. You know, I feel I'm finally in a position where I can go back to being, you know, fearless and do stuff that I want to do. So I want to be sure about 100% committed right from the gut to whatever I do next.
Wow. Do we have time for questions, Kaveri? No, we don't.
So
one measly question.
Before I leave though, I'd like to share that I had a great time in Shillong. Yeah, just one night, but it was a really cool place to be, and I met a very beautiful, special lady last night. She was a really pretty lady.
I've met you before, Vivek.
I'm talking about somebody else. I met a beautiful lady last night, and we actually danced together last night. And there's more to it. I got a couple of kisses from her too. The little detail that I failed to mention, she was 105 at the Sisters of Charity home last night, and it was incredible to see something that I'm taking home from Shillong: the ability to smile. You're 105, and if you can smile and dance, that's amazing.
Thank you very much, Vivek, to show us that you're not just a Bollywood star, but a real star. You actually go out and change people's lives, and it's just absolutely amazing. Thank you very much for coming here.
Thank you so much.